And welcome back to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It's me, your boy Eli.
Be Joe.
And we're here to talk about Moon Knight, the newest Marvel TV show to come out, and probably is it the first of Marvel to this year or no? No Way Home came out December.
Yeah, I guess it would technically be the first Marvel new MCU thing to come out this year. And it's very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
I know a little bit about Moon Knight.
I all I vaguely know is that Moon Knight in the comics has been a very sort of interesting character in terms of like personality. It's very questionable. Like they have a very sort of questionable background and not in terms of like controversial, but more like they're not exactly right in the head.
Yeah, and that's clearly noted in this episode. Mark Spector, what's the other guy's personality name?
Steven
with a V.
Yeah, Steven.
Both who are basically just played by Oscar Isaac, who is like, this is his third Marvel movie.
Yeah, because he was
Apocalypse.
He was Apocalypse, and he's going to be he did a voice cameo for
Miguel O'Hara,
Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah,
in the Spider-Verse, and here he's in the MCU as
Moon Knight.
Yeah,
and so obviously he's here. He's doing his coolest thing, and now obviously we're seeing sort of a fresh, new kind of character, a new kind of a thing within the MCU, because this is technically MCU canon, right?
I mean, yeah.
It just, and I remember reading this somewhere about early thoughts about the show. It seems very like this would have fit within the Netflix thing, especially since like later on in the Netflix shows, like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Punisher, they never really like talked about being in the Marvel universe. Like they were connected, but they weren't connected to the bigger stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because when those shows first came out, like they always mentioned about the incident in New York.
Yeah,
because they're all centered in New York, so they would always talk about the events of the first Avengers, and that's sort of the big thing. They'll make like references to like the big green monster or the guy with the hammer, and I think at one point they name dropped Iron Man. I got pics of Iron Man, flying around the city and stuff. But yeah, no, as those shows went on, they definitely delved less and less.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure if it was just because of the nature of those shows didn't really fit well with how the MCU is currently seen or at the time, or it was just like sort of a
different department kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's a different department kind of thing, but. I get what you mean. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any overt MCU connections in this show, and I think it's just because I feel like Moon Knight as a character is very
to himself.
Like he doesn't really. I feel like he doesn't really interact with a lot of other.
Unless it's like street level wise.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the thing that a lot of people. I think Marvel does it better than most than something like DC, where with DC you can totally see like the street level guy getting involved in like the big space stuff, right? Like in Peacemaker, he's trying to stop an alien invasion. It's all this kind of crazy stuff, and even in like the Suicide Squad, where that one, it's him stopping like an alien invasion.
Yeah.
Here, in Marvel, you got your regular superhero stuff. You got your street level stuff, which is gonna be like the grime and dirty, the stuff that you kind of seen in the Netflix shows, right? Like them handling with like fighting some drug busting, a lot more grounded and grittier kind of stuff, and then you have the space and cosmic kind of stuff like Guardians Eternals and like Silver Surfer, Galactus. There's layers, and there's sometimes characters would just like intervene with each one, depending on like the situation, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the stuff that would happen. So like, for example, Hulk is a superhero, but sometimes he'll be out in space doing stuff, right? Or Spider Man, like he's probably the best one to do all those mix in betweens, right? Because he's kind of meant to be like the everyman. And so I'm not against it. I do think for some people they'd be like, okay, so how's this gonna connect to the bigger thing? And I'm like, it's probably not, because that's not what Moon Knight is about. I mean, you can, but it's gonna feel like really weird.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, what Moon Knight does, it probably is adding an additional layer of say, because Moon Knight definitely seems to be taking a lot of inspiration from Egyptian mythology stuff. So it might be adding a layer of like, because we know that Norse stuff exists, but it's like with Thor and stuff. And I know in the comics there's characters like Hercules and other sort of things. So, this is adding like sort of like an interesting sort of like, oh, the Egyptian pantheon is a real thing in the MCU, right? So that's clearly is I think that's probably might be like its big contribution, that we're adding this level weird like supernatural kind of thing, but at the same time dealing with some street level stuff, because like that's kind of what seems to be what Moon Knight does. He works from the shadows and stuff like that.
Yeah, he would often be compared to Batman, right? He's like one of those like like he's Batman, right? Like no, that he's not Batman. It's a little more interesting, I guess. I mean, we could talk about that if you want, and like, because that's often sometimes when people tend to talk about is like, hey, he's basically just Batman, right? And like a lot of those comparisons between the Marvel and DC characters, and it's just really like a very like, what do you call it? A very thin line comparison.
Like a very like you're just looking at it at a very broad stroke.
Yeah.
Like you look at it's very sort of like like overgeneralizing of a character.
Yeah, like it's like when you say like Superman and Captain America are like the patriotic heroes. I'm like, no, right? It's like because like Superman is he stopped being like I wouldn't say he's patriotic. People sometimes write him to be very patriotic, but sometimes he's not, in a sense that he does for the good. And Captain America, some of his famous lines is that he's not he doesn't do it for the government. He does it for the dream, the American dream of like everyone has to treating everyone right and all that good stuff. Stuff that you would find in a Captain America book, right? And with Moon Knight, because a lot of people sometimes compare him to Batman, or at least have the idea of Batman, especially since we just got back from the Batman. It's like, oh, he's basically like Batman, right? You just color swap him. He's player 2 colors.
Right, because Batman. Well, I mean, to be fair, Batman has gone many colors. I mean, obviously he's most famous in black, but I mean, I feel like
you miss the blue, don't you?
The blue and the blue and the
gray,
the gray and gold. Yeah, that's a pretty cool color scheme for him. But yeah, Moon Knight. Obviously, he's just pure white. I mean, symbolize the moon and stuff. But yeah, let's just dig into some bits of the episode.
Yeah. But just to finish off from that point, I just like listen. I mean, Moon Knight deals with, and we're gonna go into it, right? That's why I'm not mentioning. Moon Knight deals with a lot of this character's split personality disorder, and I think there's an actual term for it, but I just can't think of it at the top of my head.
I think it's like dissociative personality disorder.
Yeah, and this is where we're gonna get to, right? So in the show, we introduced to Steven, right? And he seems like a real cool dude.
Like, he seems very, I guess, a little neurotic.
Yeah.
He definitely seems like he has a bit of, like, sleeping issues. But, yeah, generally he just seems kind of like he wants to be, like, he tries to treat everybody generally nice, and, like, there are just some people that just are just kind of dicks to him. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's very
Especially that one lady.
yeah, like his I guess his boss or whatever at like this museum because he works at a gift shop and she's like, "I don't care about what you're doing or whatever. Just you do this that. Stop being such a weirdo."
It's like, damn, leave him alone.
Yeah, it's just like he's a little strange, but he's not hurting anybody, right?
Yeah, no, he's such a nice guy. Like she got on him for teaching a child about ancient Egyptian stuff.
Yeah, it's like that's not your job. You're supposed to be selling them candies and like little toys. You're not a tour guide, And
Listen, I don't know how it works in the museum business or whatever, but if you have someone who's generally knowledgeable about the stuff that you're promoting and is very enthusiastic, it makes it very interesting for someone to be very interested in what's going on. You want that as your tour guide.
I mean, yeah, generally, I guess. And yeah, it's just Steven's very. He just seems like a generally.
He's a genuine person.
Yeah, he's very genuine. He gets kind of shit on by some of his coworkers. I mean, like the security guard at the front just keeps on calling him Scotty or whatever. And it's like it's Steven. Yeah,
with a V.
Yeah, but yeah, like he just wants to live a nice little life, but obviously that's not the case.
Because it's never the case.
Yeah. Because he does have like these sort of weird like, I guess fits of like he feels like he sleepwalks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why he has like this little, like rope or whatever that he attaches to his bed and to his leg when he sleeps. So that way
he has sand going around.
Yeah, like he tries to like essentially he tapes his door to make sure like if he ever like I guess goes off sleepwalking that he knows that he did something.
Mm-hmm.
And we from what we see like it's like okay I think I'm fine but we have this sort of
quick cut
to where like I think he goes to sleep and then he just finds himself like in the middle of a field
with a bit of a broken jaw.
Yeah, he's sort of like, where am I?
And I don't know. How do you feel about that editing? How they do that?
I mean, it's I think it's done well. It's very jarring for both the character and us. You know, like it's like he's going through the extended sequence of like just trying to go to sleep, and then like, there is a moment where you feel like, oh, maybe this is all a dream. Yeah. At a certain point, after this whole sequence is over, but it becomes clear that all this is real.
It is very real.
Yeah, and we get to see a bit of just Steven just going like, what is going on? What's happening?
He meets Ethan Hawke, who we did meet earlier in the episode, with doing a really painful thing. I'm not gonna go into it, but once you know, you'll know.
I mean, that's how the episode starts. But yeah, he I don't know.
But also, by the way, sound design, Jesus Christ! Every time he walks.
Yeah. I forget if they even say the character's name in this episode.
I think they do. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I can look it up if you'd like.
Yeah, but he seems to be a bit of like a. I wouldn't say Jim Jones kind of character, but he's very much.
He's a cult leader.
He seems like a cult leader. He has, I guess, somehow tapped into ancient Egyptian powers, where he can just essentially judge someone's character, I guess, or like, if they will be good or bad. And
or if they've done such things.
Yeah, if they've done good things or they've done bad things, and like generally, if they've done bad, he will kill them.
Oh, he'll suck the life out of them.
Oh yeah, he definitely does that. He does that to an old lady, and she's like, "But I've been good all my life." Like maybe it's something you do in the future. And he like while he doesn't like outright say his motivations, it definitely seems like we know that he is a character that believes that like if someone is going to be I guess destined to do evil, then it is the right thing to do to just end them, right? Like just get rid of them.
Yeah. And it's kind of And Ethan Hawke plays it like he's just like a kind-hearted man who genuinely thinks what he's doing is the right thing to do, even though it's like clearly like a. I think your comparison to Jim Jones makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he is kind of like you're kind of like into it, like, oh man, yeah, you know, he seems like a really cool guy though.
Yeah, and he definitely has a bunch of devout followers that definitely believe in him. You know?
So much so they're everywhere that Steven goes.
Yeah, he turns out like one of his coworkers is part of that little cult. It's like, you're part of this? How could you? How?
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I would like to see what first see what the dynamic between these two, because it clearly seems like Ethan Hawke's character might be a bit complex as a villain.
Mm-hmm. Or his motivations might be interesting, but the one thing that really, and this is where we're gonna go into, is Steven's multiple personality, and it's kind of hard to gauge who's the real one, because right now in the comics it's hard to tell who's the primary, you know, personality. Right now it's Steven, because I think it makes sense that Steven is the one, because his character is just like, I don't know what's going on. I just want to, you know, I just want to live a nice, normal life. And clearly he's haunted by these events. And he doesn't like how, or, you know, the way it affects him, it affects him the most whenever these different personalities take over. Because he had a date, dude. He's like, oh man, he's got a date with this girl. She's cute. You know, they're going to go to get some steak. And then, like, he's like, oh, I'm waiting here. It's like, dude, that was like 3 days ago. You stood me up. Fuck you.
And to be fair, he didn't even know that he asked her out, which is like, I think the first hint of his.
Oh, wait, he didn't ask her out?
He says that he doesn't remember asking her out, so it must have been.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's even crazier.
Yeah, like he didn't know he asked her out.
Yeah.
But he was like, I guess you know, we're going on a date. That's cool. I'm gonna get, you know, ready to go. Then
I'm
all
calling
this,
my mom.
Yeah,
Like, Mom, I got a date.
Doesn't answer the phone, but you know, listens to.
Which is, I think that's the most interesting one too.
Yeah.
He's like, who's he calling though? Because I don't think that might be. Considering this is a multiple personality character with multiple personalities, who the fuck is he actually calling?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and like it gets more apparent that like these personalities and stuff are messing with his mind, because he does not know the passage of time.
Yeah, like he just has no idea like how long things have happened. Like hell, he has this like little goldfish with like a little like limp fin or whatever.
He's Nemo.
Yeah, I guess. And then like when he wakes up after all this events happen, he goes sees his fish and he's like, "Why does it have? Its fin is better. It has like 2 fully functioning limbs. What's up with that?" And like he goes to the shop. He's like, I don't understand why you're dealing with this. Like all the fish look, yeah. There's no disabled fish here. You've been here like yesterday. Like yesterday, I wasn't here yesterday. It's like, are you lost your mind?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no.
Yeah, no. They really emphasize the problems that this guy has with his personality disorder, and it makes it really interesting. Also, he's being haunted by Khonshu, which is the big bird face, bird skull creature thing that's following him around.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it's the god Khonshu, Egyptian gods and all that stuff, and it's following him around. And yeah, no, that's what it is, and it's done in sort of like a horror motif, especially like have you seen the trailers? You see him walking down the hallway all like creepily and stuff, and that's how you get to it's our introduction to Khonshu, and he just shows up randomly around the street too. So it's like so this is all the problem of that character. This is clearly a guy who is suffering from his illness, and like it makes it even more fucked up when you realize, yeah, this guy is clearly going through something, and yet no one wants to help him out, and he's just a generally good person who's going through some shit. But no one, again, no one, especially his coworkers, don't want to help him out.
Yeah, like I mean, it just seems like he's very like, yeah, like most people are just like, this guy's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
like, and I think it just further sort of I guess might push him into this sort of thing of like, is anything I'm seeing actually real? You know, am I losing my mind, or is this real? Is this not real? You know, that kind of. I think that's going to be sort of
Well, remember, for him, he's still wondering whether or not he's dreaming.
right.
Because he doesn't know, because the whole situation with like meeting Ethan Hawke's character is like, oh, this is a dream. This is because this is all really like fantastical and shit. There's no way it could be, you know, real. And he wakes up, he's like, oh, that was a weird dream. And then you know, and stuff happens, and he's like, oh, no, this is messing with my life. And I think it's also implied that some of the other personalities have their own lives too.
Yeah. Because I think in the episode, Steven finds this sort of phone hidden in his like in a part of his room that clearly belongs to his other personality, and he's like, "Wait, what?"
And all the other personalities are aware of what's going on except for Steven. Which again, it's one of the things where I'm like, this is a smart decision. It makes us invested in what's going on with this character because like he doesn't know, we don't know, and everything that's going on, we're feeling bad for him because he does not deserve any of this bad stuff.
Right.
And like like I said, he's a very genuine soul, and like you kind of feel for this guy, right? Like he's getting screwed over without realizing he's getting screwed over, and he just wants to like, you know, just be happy, right? Just trying to live a normal life. Talking to a street performer who's just sitting there, and I'm pretty sure is annoyed by him by now.
I mean, yeah, but he gives him food and like at least a bit of change. You know, heck, and I think there's a bit where like some couple comes in and like asks for him to take the picture with them, and he's like, "Don't forget to tip." You know, so clearly, you know, he's at least like nice to the street performer, and you know, helps him out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, but it's gonna be kind of interesting to see where the plot goes, because it seems like what like this other personality, at least by the way Ethan Hawke's character describes him, is like
You're just chaos, dude.
Yeah. You're chaos, because he tries to do the judgment thing.
Yeah.
Of like judging his soul or whatever. And we see it like earlier where it's like, if it's green, then you're good. If it's red, you're bad.
Yeah, because that's the classic way to know.
Yeah, but with Steven, I think it's just like it doesn't stop moving. It's just like continues to like try to balance itself out, and that's why he's like, you are chaos. You know, your soul has chaos within or whatever. Which I think definitely sort of is used to help explain the fact that he has essentially like these various personalities inside his brain or whatever. Thus, like, the scales can't really like tell who's the real person, you know?
Yeah, and it's clearly obvious that this is where we're also getting a bit of a supernatural thing because of the things that are going on with Khonshu, with Ethan Hawke's character, and a lot of the other stuff. And it's just like, it's a lot of stuff. They fit a lot of stuff into this one episode, and I think it's one of the most intriguing episodes that the Marvel TV side has come out with recently. That is part of the MCU. That is officially part of, right? And it's so interesting to see how all of it is kind of turned out. I don't know, Joey. What do you think? What do you think overall is this overall for this episode?
Yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting start for a show like this. Like I'm very curious as to what what's gonna happen. I mean, I want to see the conflict, like what between Ethan Hawke and Steven, Oscar Isaac's character.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, I want to see sort of like, I guess, how they grasp the situation of Steven and
all these personalities.
Yeah, the personalities he has.
And that's the thing that I know, because I've talked about it with some people. It's the question of how he does his personalities is going to be the big question. And like throughout the promotion, they've shown off like at least 4 different ones. You know, you have Moon Knight, Mark Spector, Stevie, and not that long ago, and they're really proud of this one because how good the suit looks. Mr. Knight, which is more the detective side of Moon Knight. So it's really questionable how the big question was how are they going to handle all these personalities, the issue that he is a person with a personality disorder, and like how is that going to go like about. And I'm not saying like they're going to like deal with like, oh, how do you handle this. And I mean they will talk about how Stevie, because let's face it, right now he's the main personality for the show, will handle the fact that he has all these personalities and what he can do, right? Because like I said earlier, all the other personalities seem to be aware of him. Conch is like, oh no, the idiot's in charge. And he's like, who's talking to me, right? Because he clearly doesn't know, but all the other personalities know, and clearly that's probably the reason why some girl was like, yeah, our date, right? I was like, what are you talking about? Right? So that leads up to many things to happen. But for me, I think it's doing it pretty good. You kind of want to see where this goes, right?
Yeah.
And especially with the personality disorder. A lot of people are loving this show so far from what I've seen online, and hopefully it continues to go. I will say my one concern is it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, I mean, how long were, stuff like, because I know WandaVision was like, what, 8, right?
8.
And I think so was, Falcon Winter Soldier?
8 or 9.
8 or 9? Okay. I mean, it depends on, like, what, I mean, it seems like it's gonna be like 6, 1 hour, about-ish long episodes. I mean, I think it can be done well. And who knows? Maybe given its reception, we might get like a season 2 potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am definitely excited and intrigued as to where we will go with Steven and having him grapple with all these different personalities that he will soon have to discover in his brain, as well as whatever Ethan Hawke's character is going to be planning, because there's like a MacGuffin involved here.
A MacGuffin we know nothing about.
Not really. All they know is that it's like a golden scarab kind of thing. And yeah, like, I mean, it seems to be very important, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this all leads. And I'm probably definitely one of those people who is fine with this not being directly like tie, like not necessarily directly tied to the MCU, but more like, this is gonna.
It gives it room to breathe.
Yeah, like this is gonna be like the next big thing is gonna go for the MCU, right? Because WandaVision, Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch, and it helps set up for her in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Falcon Winter Soldier sets up Falcon as the new Captain America, as well as stuff for potential you have U.S. Agent and all that stuff going down. Loki clearly showing multiverse stuff going on, as well as set up for Kang the Conqueror, right? So like a lot of these Marvel shows have had like at least bits of like this is where, like hints of like this is where we're going in direction for the MCU, and here I'll probably be fine with it not doing that because, or at the very least, I don't see it being like a huge consequential like crazy thing that's going to shape the future of the MCU. Here, I think it's a nice side story that will lead to some very interesting conflicts for our main character.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm totally agreeing with you, right? It's the idea of like what could happen to Stevie, right? About all this and that. And so I think for me it's more like we're not connected, right? we're giving it time to breathe. Like, let it be its own thing. Well, we know it's connected, and we don't have to know it's connected. Like, we're letting it breathe and do its own thing. Kind of like how some of the movies are like, yeah, we know Captain America is connected to all these other characters, but we just want him to breathe for his own, right? For his own movie, or for his own product, or whatever. And thankfully, I feel like this is going to be the good one, especially since, like, we don't got to worry about where this is going. We don't got to worry about Nick Fury showing up anytime being like, hey, Moon Knight, you're a real cool guy. Why don't you join the Avengers? And he's like, no, fuck you, I'm out. And stuff like that. But, like, it's you're happy to know that you don't have to worry about connectivity just for a while, because at some point I feel like there will be a connection, right?
Yeah.
Or just like know, like, yeah, we're in the same universe. Yeah, you don't have to have like Tony Stark. Well, at this point, not Tony Stark, but like you don't have to have Spider-Man like swinging around. You just know, like, hey, there's like these little nice touches of connectivity, right? Because like, so Hawkeye, right, the Hawkeye TV show. They had a moment with the whole Steve Rogers play, right? And in the No Way Home, they make a note of that. There's a Steve Rogers play. It's like right there. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that from Hawkeye. Hawkeye, that's nice. It's like it means nothing. It doesn't do anything to the story. It just lets you know, yeah, there's some connectivity, right? We're still in the same universe. We're just having little nods here and there. It's not a big deal. It's okay, guys. It's okay. Kind of stuff. And to some people, man, like, hey, remember, like, it ends with Spider-Man swinging top near that was it Rockefeller?
Yeah.
And just like the ending of Hawkeye, and I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And like, I don't know, maybe like Stevie just happens to walk by past, or like the Rogers the musical thing, and it's just that's it. I'm perfectly fine. Just you can do little minute things of connectivity. You don't have to like lead up to anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. What you were saying here, basically. Yeah, but like that for me. Like, if you just do that, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, I think that's about all I could say for Moon Knight. I mean, do you want to give it a rating right now, or no, or you want to wait for the whole show to come out?
I mean, I am fine with whatever you feel like is necessary. I'm content with at least waiting for now, at least till the whole series comes out. To
I
give it
I
a
am
rating.
with you on 110%. I think for me, it's more of like, there's still a lot to think about.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Because like, I would like to. I hope that the next episode is told from Mark Spector's perspective, and like he like the kind of like how there are moments where Steve wakes up in the middle of whatever of blacking out. It's just like we edit it to so that way it's his perspective. Like he blacks out and he's like, oh, damn it, Stevie, kind of shit, right? Kind of stuff. And that I don't know. I think that'd be fun. I hope they do that. That's all I want. But yeah, no, guys. That was Moon Knight. That was our conversation about Moon Knight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you like what you heard, you can follow us on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Geek Centurions. We are officially a part of those. We have a link tree to all the podcasts that we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and whatever you can find us on. You can also find a link tree to our YouTube where we put a video format of these episodes up, especially for you audio listeners who like to have a little video up there, just to at least, have something to watch, have something to listen to, or whatever, or however you feel. Be sure when you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we have a Patreon. Sorry, had a brain fart there. Patreon, where you can support us any form of way, whether it be big or small. Thank you for doing whatever you can to support us. And yeah, that's Moon Knight. Pretty good shit. It's probably so far. I think it's gonna be a favorite for most. I always felt like the Marvel TV shows have been solid to okay.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, because I feel like for me, What If was probably the best until like the last episode, where we gotta get the band together, guys. And I'm like, but why? But why you I don't know, but I think this one could take over. I don't know. What was your favorite Marvel TV show so far? Disney Plus era, I should say.
Yeah, I would. Mm, a part of me really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Uh,
Hmm.
Loki. Yeah, I probably would just put it at the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Loki gets a little weird, especially with the whole subplot towards the end with Loki and
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Just how quickly they were able to get together.
a little bit. It's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird.
Like you're not bothered by them in a game together. Just more like this is a little too quick for me, but sure.
Yeah, like I mean, I get the joke. There is Loki falls is so narcissistic. He falls in love with his female version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's like concept wise, I kind of get it, but it just execution wise, a little too quick for me. But yeah, I think I'm definitely looking forward to what happens in Midnight because so far I'm liking it.
I'm liking it too. Anyways, guys, hope you get be sure to check it out. It's been me, your boy Eli.
Jimmy Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.